Hey guys, so I've decided that to start with, I'm going to try to post one story a day and one channeled session a day. And that way you can get the best of everything that I'm trying to share here. I could just channel every day, but there's an excitement and a fun about what I'm doing here and what you can be doing with these same abilities should you choose to learn how to do this, that I can't help but share. I have so many exciting and fun stories. So, just to warm up, I'm going to start with the story. I realized a long time ago that I like to use these abilities for treasure hunting. I needed a way to know if my guides were real, to know if they were based in reality, to know if they were accurate. And I've always been a fan of walking out into the woods and finding something beautiful. I've always liked the idea of finding an antler shed or a shark tooth when I'm walking up the creek. So I took my son tooth hunting. We have a lot of creeks in north central Florida, and I have a friend who's like a full-time treasure hunter on the creek. He grew up there, and he offered to take me and my son out. We went out. We found a bunch of little shark's teeth. They were really neat, but none of these like big, massive megalodon teeth that everybody's looking for. The following weekend, I had a free day, all to myself, which is something that my wife and I try to schedule on purpose. We each get 2 days a month just to ourselves. It's a wonderful time for me to let my guides off the hook and give them a bunch of rope and see where we can go. And I checked in with them. I knew what I was going to do. I could feel the excitement building. This is something that I've moved towards, not having to check in with my guides every second, but being able to follow my own excitement. And I was really excited to go back tooth hunting, shark tooth hunting with this guy. And I knew that's what I was going to do on Saturday. But still, I checked in. I talked to Archangel Ariel and I said, you know, am I right? Is my excitement guiding me well? Is this what I should be doing today? And they said, absolutely. You need to go out with this gentleman and go hunting for teeth. Or at least what they told me was you need to go out on that creek, because I kind of wanted to go by myself. When I got there, I asked him if I could go by myself. He said absolutely. He set me up with the equipment. I told him I wasn't going to need any equipment because I was just going to walk. I had heard that you could find a lot of teeth just walking the creek, and I wanted to cover some distance that I couldn't cover with my 4-year-old son. I got out there and I was walking. I'm walking and I'm walking. I'm not finding anything. And so I'm checking in with my guides, and I said, what's the story? 2 of my guides came to deliver me a message. Archangel Ariel, who, if you're not familiar, and I wasn't, Archangel Ariel, among the archangels, is the one with a purview that covers wild animals as well as bodies of water, the ocean, rivers, lakes, things like this. And also another one of my guides, Celtic god, Manannán mac Lir. And what they had to say to me was this. They said, we know where the sharks lived, we know where the sharks died, we know what you're looking for, and if you're going to find anything big today, it's going to be way up the creek in a, what was the word that they used? Like in a small pool. They showed me this image of a pool deep down in the muck. Way up the creek, deep down in the muck. And I thought, great. Sometimes I do, when I get a message from my guides, I think, well, that doesn't sound like any fun. I don't want to be digging in the muck. That's not why I came here. And I struggled with it a little bit. But I walked and I walked, and 3-4 hours goes by of walking, and finally I texted my friend and I said, hey, you know, I'm not really finding anything. He said, guess what? The guy I was supposed to be out hunting with in a different part of the area, he canceled. So I'm free. I'll run up to where you are. He knew a shortcut where he could park and walk over. Half an hour later, he's caught up to me, him and a friend. He's brought painting equipment, he's brought long shovels, he's brought what we need, And he leads me further up the creek even to a set of 2 pools. And the first one, when I saw it, I just laughed inwardly because it was what they had shown me. And he said, "This is a really great spot. I've pulled 30 or 40 megalodon teeth out of here over the years. There's a little waterfall that feeds this pool, and it is constantly refreshing this spot. It's kind of mucky down at the bottom, so we're going to have to use these long shovels to dig out of it." And I'm just laughing inside, and I'm laughing inside. So I start scooping out the muck and panning through it. I'm not finding anything. I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little off my game. I'm not necessarily sure that this is the right place. I'm doubting. I'm a human. It's part of what we do. And so I set the shovel down and the pan down, and I go to look in another area further up the creek. My buddy who brought the equipment grabs the shovel, gets in, and the first scoop he pulls out a tooth that's this big. You can't. It's 3.5 inches across at the top. It was gorgeous, and I couldn't help but laugh. He pulled out another few things, other teeth, different sizes, broken, whole. This one was perfectly whole that he had pulled out, and then he handed the shovel back to me. He said, "I'm not greedy. Here you go." And then I started pulling out stuff. I was pulling out megalodon teeth. I was pulling out big old vertebrae from whales and dolphins, and I left those there. But the tooth that I eventually pulled out was this one. So this thing is gigantic. You can see it's huge, and it's beautiful. The tip is broken here, the top tip, but this is a megalodon tooth, lived after the age of dinosaurs. It has some cool lines in it, and interestingly, it's got a hole bored all the way from the back to the front. They thought of that as a bit of a flaw. I think they said it was a clam that bore that hole, but my wife and I have always, the beach has been a very special place for us. It's where we had our first date. And whenever we visit a beach, we're always looking for a shell with a hole already bored in it so that I can string it on a necklace and remember that experience. And so to find not just a megalodon tooth, but a big old, beautiful megalodon tooth, and not just that, but one that already has a hole in it so that I can throw a link on it as soon as I get home and begin wearing it. Really, really special, really incredible. And at that moment, I just kind of sang the praises internally to remember that my guides had told me, we know where the sharks lived, we know where the sharks died, and what you're looking for is way up the creek in the muck. And then to pull one out that is so perfect for me. That's the way the universe does it for me. That's the way my guides work with me, is so that when I ask for something, when I finally receive it, finally, it might be too strong of a word, but once I receive it, I'm always bowled over to recognize that it is even better than I would have asked, even better than I did ask, even better than what I've dreamed. And it's the little details like that hole in it that make it so perfect and so special. And I just have story after story like this. So that's the story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you consider connecting with your own guides so that you can have this ease of guidance, so that you can find the path to the things that you want, so that you can sense when the things that you want are nearby, so that you can have all the fun of living in this manner like this, where it's you and your guides and you're going through life together, and there's really very little separation between the two of you, if any separation between the two of you anymore. You know, I used to have to sit down and meditate and be quiet to be able to hear my guides, and now there's no time delay, and the answers are always right there, and they're always perfect. So I'll be sharing more about that. Some of the goals of the things that I want to do with this channel are telling these kind of stories so you can see how I'm using it, and then hopefully I can hear back from you guys as to how you're using your guidance, but also explaining how I came to this point where I could use it so easily, explaining how you guys can start to tap into your own guides and get better and better at it until you can use it so effortlessly, and kind of make public and eventually more mainstream the idea that you're not going through life alone, that there are just hundreds, if not thousands or more, guides for each person who are perfect for you and who know exactly what you want and where you are in relationship to it, so that you can check in at any point and just get all this wise help, and we don't have to fight our way through life alone or feel like we're not enough or we don't have what we need, because there's always more that's accessible. Alright, that's it for this one. On the next video I'll be channeling, and it's going to be Archangel Ariel again. He's my main guy, he's my go-to, and we'll see what he'll be talking about. Stay tuned.